Hi everyone, Adam here, and welcome back to June Hughes 2022. In this episode, we are going to talk about the 1984 teen party comedy, 16 Candles. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Now, when we fought, you had that eye of the tiger, man, the edge.
Hey everybody, my name is Adam and I am part of the Cinemadness podcast. I'm here to tell you about some exciting news. We're making a movie. As I've mentioned on the show numerous times, I am obsessed with the films of 1982, and I want to share my love of those years with all of you. So we are taking a deep dive into 75 movies, all from 1982, to show that this was an important year, or maybe the most important year in pop culture cinema. Movies like Blade Runner, The Thing, E.T., Poltergeist, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and many, many more. Interviewing cast and crew from these movies, as well as fans and also film experts. We are currently crowdfunding for equipment and logistics while in development, and when we are ready for pre-production, we will get all of you involved too. That means names in the credits, special goodies, perhaps posters and art. So, if you are as excited about this as we are, and really, why shouldn't you be? Check out our campaign at cinemadnesspodcast.com/1982themovie. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 1982themovie. So come along with us and let's celebrate cinema. All right, let's get into this. 16 Candles was the first motion picture written and directed by June Hughes. And it shows. But we'll get into that other stuff in a bit. First, let's talk about the plot. Today is Samantha Baker's 16th birthday. Samantha is your average American teenage girl and really looking forward to a day of celebration and being pampered by her family, especially on her 16th birthday. I mean, what 16-year-old girl, especially in the 80s, wouldn't want that? 60s to the 80s, it was a big thing. Unfortunately, to her horror, the family has totally forgotten about Sam's birthday because of her older sister is just 2 days, maybe, I think, 1 or 2 days from her wedding. And the family is just scrambling to get everything perfect for her sister's big day.
When it comes your turn to get married, do me a favor. Elope.
Who'd marry her?
Mr. T. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to buy lunch today. I didn't have time to fix your carrots.
Which includes forgetting Samantha's birthday. She confides in her best friend at school as they discuss their family situation, and they also discuss the dance that's coming up that night. She also confesses that she has fallen for her hunky classmate, Jake Ryan. Played by Michael Scheffling. During a note-passing mishap, Jake also knows her feelings. And that gets him thinking if he's with the right girl because of social status and not emotion. And it becomes a existential thing for Jake, being the popular guy, having to have the popular girl because that's what the social cast tells him that's what he should do. On the bus ride home after school, we are introduced to Farmer Ted, played by Anthony Michael Hall, who also has a crush on Samantha. But he's very direct with his intentions. Ted, being a freshman, he has no tact, but he has all the confidence in the world.
Am I turning you on? It's encouraging. Very encouraging.
Uh-huh.
You know, a girl with a hat is just so bold.
Yeah.
You kind of have to hand it to him. He's got big balls, and his ignorance to the rest of the social cast of high school is a bit admirable. You don't see that very often. If only he wasn't teetering on the line of total creeper, trapping her in the bus seat where she can't get up. It's a little problematic there. But we'll talk about that later. Back home, the forgotten holiday hasn't changed. but the chaos intensifies as both sets of grandparents arrive. One pair are set up in her room, making her have to sleep in her brother's bottom bunk of his bunk beds, where we are then introduced to Long Duck Dong, played by Gede Watanabe.
What's happening, hot stuff?
Who Sam's grandparents have taken in a foreign exchange program. Fun fact, you can't see this over here. My left hand, I'm left-handed. Fun fact, Long Duck Dong was originally written by Hughes in a story for National Lampoon's magazine called Christmas 59, where the 59 set of stories turned into the vacation set of stories. And in this one, the characters who eventually became the Griswolds, they have in-laws show up for Christmas with an Asian exchange student, meaning that Long Duck Dong was in the original idea for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. No! Kind of glad he just stayed in 16 Candles. At dinner that night, Sam decides that she's going to go to the dance, but just to get away from her family. And this is a thing that I really enjoy. I always enjoy the idea of a school dance not being the focal point of a teen comedy. I saw the same in Better Off Dead. It was just a part of the movie and not the goal. It's not like, oh, I have to get ready for prom. Not like Pretty in Pink. And that trope gets old fast, especially for a teen movie. Well, I guess there weren't many dances in adult movies. Maybe Cocoon. Now, the dance in the school gym scene is great. All of it is great. We get to see Farmer Ted making a bet with his friend, which one is played by a young John Cusack, to get Sam's panties as a proof that he could get with her. Also, Jake sees Sam at the dance, and it kind of intrigues his mind if she's really the one he wants while he's dancing with his popular girlfriend. Fun fact about John Cusack, he was in the casting call for this movie for the role of Farmer Ted's friend, and he was in a group of people, and Hughes told Hall, said, go to all of these people and choose out 2 people to be your friends for this movie. And he grabbed Cusack, which he's only done, I don't know, I think maybe 3 roles before this. In fact, both him and Joan are in this movie, and before that, they did a movie Class with, I think it was Rob Lowe. And so this is like their first big jump after Class. And Cusack has gone on to say that this movie made his career. And Anthony Michael Hall has gone on to say that he made John Cusack's career. I don't know if the two have ever talked about it, before in the same room, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
And we're doing the casting rounds for the guys who are going to play my buddy, my 2 buddies. So Hughes turns to me, I swear to you, I'm 15 years old. He goes, "Well, they're your buddies. I'm going to let you cast them." I was like, "What?"
What?
So I cast Cusack. I don't even know if Cusack knows this. Call me John.
You cast John.
I swear to you, because John Hughes said so. I was like, I couldn't believe it either.
Now, I think now it's become an Adam trope to talk about Anthony Michael Hall's performance in a John Hughes film as a standout role. But the school dance part of the movie is where his acting really shines. It's still a bit rough being his first Hughes directed movie. He did Vacation before this. But this is the first one that he got full direction from John Hughes. But you can see his growth begin here, from the confident way he brags with his friends, to his crazy dancing around Sam, and even pulling out the mental gymnastic tricks to not get beaten up by Jake when he's asking about Sam. His acting technique is still a bit rough in this movie, but you can see a huge change from going basically just reactionary with Rusty Griswold to actually acting as Farmer Ted.
I'm really sorry, man. Whatever I did was an accident. I didn't mean to.
Relax. You were dancing with a girl?
Oh, man, I'm really sorry, man. I must have been on drugs 5 minutes ago. I didn't even know.
Do you know her?
She grabbed me, guy. I'm totally innocent. Is she yours?
As the dance goes on, Ted finds Samantha being sad, sitting in a car in the auto shop classroom. And this is a mostly touching scene between the two. After a few failed attempts at Ted trying to jump Sam, then it becomes a touching scene. They both open up, they laugh and cry together, bringing in not only the characters, but the actors close together. Another fun fact of the day, Ringwald and Hall actually started dating after shooting this movie. And they remained an item all throughout the filming of The Breakfast Club. In fact, during the opening scene in The Breakfast Club, where Anthony Michael Hall's character, Brian, is dropped off for detention, he's dropped off by his mom, who really was his mom, so she was on set, and Ringwald went up to his mother, and she said, I think I'm falling in love with your son. To which his mother said, well, why don't you tell him? I don't know, I just thought it was a cute little story. They did eventually break up, but they're still really close to this day, and that's really cool, because they were a big part of each other's lives for quite a long time, most of their teenage and young adult years. Anyway, after their talk in the car, and in a very ducky way, Ted tells Sam to go get Jake, and that gives her the courage to get up and do so. But first she helps Ted with his bet to his friends and gives him her underwear. In which other freshmen have to go to the boys' bathroom and pay $1 to see proof of. Freshmen. Man. We were, and they were, a very gullible bunch. And I probably still are. I don't know. I haven't been a freshman in 20-something years, so there we go. Sam makes it up to Jake, and then ultimately she chickens out right in front of him, giving him even more confusing signals. A lot of this movie is Jake's confusion. In fact, it could be retitled 16 Candles to Jake's Confusion, or 16 Candles, Jake's Confusion. After the dance, everyone shows up at Jake's house. Pretty much the entire school shows up at Jake's house. And it was all orchestrated by Jake's girlfriend, the popular girl that he's not even sure of. And by this time, she's super drunk, and he's just done with her. He is so tired. He's tired of this life. You can see it. And in fact, when he gets to the party, he sees everybody having a good time, and he sees her trying to make him more popular than he even wants to be. And he runs off to his room, and he tries to call Sam. As we know, her grandparents have taken his room over, and his calling wakes them up a few times. A couple times he just doesn't talk. I don't know if he gets nervous or if it's because some strange older person answers the phone, but he calls him like 3 times, and just to get him to shut up, his grandparents tell him that she's not interested in a man like him, which adds to Jake's confusion. Poor Jake, man. Jake is a weird character for a 80s teen comedy. He's the rich kid, the popular kid. He's got everything, and you don't feel bad for him, but you feel his confusion because he really wants to make a change in his life. At the same time, still being the popular rich kid. It's a strange dichotomy of characteristics in a single person. As the party ends, Jake comes out of his room to a completely trashed house. In fact, the only person left is Farmer Ted, trapped under the coffee table. And in another great scene for Anthony Michael Hall, they discuss life, love, and popularity. There are some problematic lines in this scene, which I'll discuss a little bit later. And Jake has Ted give his girlfriend a ride home in exchange for Sam's underwear. It's weird saying that out loud. It works in the movie. It works in a teen comedy, but it's just weird saying that out loud. Meanwhile, at home, Sam camps out in her living room, sleeping on the couch. she doesn't camp out. She just sleeps on the couch. Where she has another touching scene, but this time with her father, as he apologizes for realizing they forgot Sam's birthday. They have a nice conversation about love and boys afterwards. It's kind of like our scene with Harry Dean Stanton in Pretty in Pink. In fact, there's a lot of parallels to Pretty in Pink that probably came from this movie. This one being a little bit rougher than his normal movies. So it's kind of like a roadmap to future June Hughes. It's still a good scene. In fact, Paul Dooley, the man who played her dad, had to fight with Hughes, not fist fight, but just verbally fight, to get the scene written the way it was written, because as a well-known Hughes trope, the adult characters are basically useless. Everything's told from the children's point of view, the teenager's point of view, where they're the protagonists in the story, and the adults are not necessarily the antagonists, but they're useless. They're sometimes the antagonists, like Rooney and Ferris Bueller, but it's a very good scene, and it's actually become one of the more memorable scenes in the movie because of how genuine the conversation is between Sam and her father. The next morning is the wedding, and Sam's sister took a handful of pain pills to counteract her monthly cramps that hit this morning. And as the whole family leaves, they find Long Duck Dong passed out on the front yard, as he had a whole night of partying, finding the girl of his dreams, and living the American teen life just for one night. But he's still passed out on the front yard, and he has to tell his host about crashing his automobile. And then they head to church without Dong. They just leave him on the grass, talking about how no longer he's going to Yankee his wanky. Meanwhile, in a church parking lot, Ted and Jake's girlfriend wake up in each other's arms, neither of them knowing how they got into this position to start. And they actually start to feel a connection with each other. They talk about it, they laugh, and then they end up kissing, just as Jake drives up. And he looks at them kissing, and he doesn't get jealous. He's more relieved that he doesn't have to end that part of his life, that it kind of naturally just ended, and he can move on and find Sam and find the happiness that he believes that he can have with her. So another great performance from Anthony Michael Hall. It's amazing how going through these movies now, seeing how amazing a teen, young adult actor he's become throughout the Hughes filmography. And that's kind of my big takeaway in these 2 years that I've been doing this. Anyway, I'll go off on an Anthony Michael Hall tangent all day. At Sam's house, Dong answers the door and tells Jake that she's the one getting married, once again adding to Jake's confusion. The wedding scene is pretty damn funny, just because of Sam's sister being all doped up on painkillers. It's a really funny scene, because she's high as a kite, needing to sit in a pew halfway down the aisle, and having a brawl with her veil. But ultimately, she gets married to the guy playing the janitor in the Breakfast Club. He was also one of the club patrons in Weird Science.
What's a beautiful bride like you doing with a malaka like this, huh?
It's purely sexual.
And they head out to leave for their honeymoon, and the entire family, goes out and meets them and throws rice and does all the tropey wedding stuff that you see in movies. But Sam realizes that her sister forgot her veil, so she runs back in and grabs it. And she comes back out as everyone, including her own family, is leaving. And that's another kind of thing that goes on in this movie, is her family just leaving her behind. But this time she is not alone, because as the cars pull away, Jake is standing in front of his car. She goes up to him and explains that it was her sister's wedding, and they talk and they get along. And as if her birthday wish came true, we get the iconic scene of them kissing over a birthday cake. Then credits. And that's 16 Candles. But the question remains, do I still love it? I don't think I do. And it's not because of why you think. Well, not just because of that. This movie is Hughes' first time in front of the camera. And I'm pretty sure he learned a lot from making this movie. It really shows. Like I said, it's a roadmap to Pretty in Pink. It, gave him his reoccurring cast in Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall and the guy who played the janitor. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Me, right? But the movie itself is just way too goofy for that John Hughes teen movie magic to come through. It's just way too goofy. And yes, I think this movie is goofier than Weird Science, and that's pretty goofy. He uses a ridiculous amount of cartoon sound effects, as well as themes from movies and TV shows to emphasize elements of characters or scenes. The one that really gets on your nerves is the gong. Whenever dong is showed or even mentioned, that got old like right away. And the dragnet theme, whenever Ted is on the prowl, was funny on the bus the first time, but the other times it just gets excessive. And I think that was the thing that got to me, was the excessive use of the same running gags. I mean, you can have a running gag or two in the movie, but it gets old fast when it's the same ones over and over and over again. It's just a rough film, especially if you watch Hughes' filmography out of order. It just doesn't stand on its own feet. After we see the vast improvement the very next year with The Breakfast Club. Like he went from 16 Candles to The Breakfast Club. And it's weird not liking this movie because of the way it's made. Because usually a filmmaker takes his time to work on their techniques. But, he did it. And that's why we're talking about him to this day. Now, before I get into the positives, let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. In recent years, people have noticed that there are quite a few things in this picture that are pretty problematic. Or cringe, as the youths say. I used to dismiss these things, sounding like an old man set in his ways. Oh, it's the 80s, I would say. These were normal story elements, especially in teen comedies. And that was true, but it doesn't make it okay. Let's start with Long Duck Dong. Getty Watanabe doesn't even sound like his character in real life. Much like Pat Morita in The Karate Kid, released that same year, he has a very American accent. In fact, Watanabe said his accent was that of a friend that he had from South Korea, even though they kept calling him the weird guy from China, or Chinaman. They actually said that in the movie. In fact, I'll go on to say that not since Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's has there been a more stereotyped take on the Asian character. At least in Watanabe's case, he was Asian. But like I mentioned before, the gong does not help. In fact, he has said in an interview in the great documentary In Search of Darkness Part 2, if you haven't seen the In Search of Darkness movies and you're a horror fan, then you're missing out. Check out our interview with the director, David Weiner, on the Cinemadness podcast, where all podcasts can be found. At that time, there were no roles for young Asian Americans that weren't the Asian stereotype. So he took it, and he actually admitted he had fun with it. In fact, the dinner scene had to go through many, many takes because Watanabe would be off camera, making the cast laugh like crazy, having them break character. And he made the best out of a stereotyped role. It was even his idea to eat with the tops of the fork and spoon and use them as chopsticks. Eventually, he got to play a role with using his own accent in the vastly overlooked vampire comedy horror movie Vamp with Grace Jones.
Guys, hey, where are you going? Hey, I ordered some pizza. I'm a vegetarian. Hey, wait, just I'm buying.
Thanks, sucker.
You're Russian lit essay. Oh, great. Listen, anytime you wanna catch a movie, you just give me a buzz, all right? Just give me a buzz.
What's this, huh?
There's also the whole implied date rape thing. When Farmer Ted and Jake were in Jake's kitchen discussing life, he said, and these are his words,
I can get a piece of ass anytime I want. Shit, I got Carol in the bedroom right now, passed out cold. I could violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to.
just in a casual conversation. Kind of like, oh, I could go upstairs and play Pac-Man anytime I want to. Which the testosterone-fueled 80s big shot would say in these 80s movies. But again, just because it was normal doesn't mean it's okay. In fact, it's really rough to watch. Also, on the drive to take Jake's girlfriend home, in his dad's car, he stops at his friend's house, and they take multiple Polaroids of her passed out in multiple positions all over Ted. And also in the scene where they wake up together, there's a short conversation about whether they had drunk sex or not. Neither remember, but she says, I think we did. It's just teetering on the problematic scale. And there are also quite a few uses of the F word. Not fuck, the other F word, the one that was used in a lot of movies in the 80s, and luckily now it's been cut out of the normal lexicon as an insult. At least that's moved on. Also the R word, which still it makes me wince when hearing it. But again, it was the 80s, and people used those words in casual conversation to rib on each other's friends. And again, not making it okay. It's just a product of its time. And that's what this is. This movie is a product of its time. And it's not an excuse for a pass. The rough, uncaring 80s were just where we were in society. And it's kind of an example of how far we've come in just a few, I was saying a few decades, but it shouldn't have taken decades to not make fun of people based on what they are, who they are. It's just sad that someone as prolific as June Hughes made this movie the way it was, but he did it to connect with the youth of that day. And I can't fault him for that. If he were alive today and if he were making teen movies today, they wouldn't be like that at all. I guarantee it. I mean, he wrote for National Lampoons. He wrote for, the dirtier version of Mad Magazine. It's just there. It's the trauma of magazines. So yeah, I think June Hughes would be the James Gunn of teen comedies if he was still alive making movies today. But that being said, it's still an enjoyable movie. There's plenty to like about 16 Candles, especially the soundtrack. It is one of the better soundtracks in his movies, and that's a huge trope right there. Like mentioned before, Anthony Michael Hall and Molly Ringwald were absolutely fantastic in this movie, and it shows that they will have long career making movies, not just together, but doing movies apart and being good at doing their job. Including Anthony Michael Hall, still doing great stuff up until right now.
Michael Myers will be executed tonight, and it will not go without witness. We need all of you. Evil dies tonight.
Also, the ongoing joke of Joan Cusack's character in a neck brace, always trying to drink something and usually failing. It made me giggle all the time. And that's a running gag I really enjoyed. That could have been like the one running gag in the movie, especially the water fountain stuff. That was great. And the scene near the beginning where Jake and his friend were doing pull-ups, and then they stopped at the very top to talk, and he puts his arms up on the thing, and then the camera pulls back to show that the bar is not even near as high as it should go. It's like chest length. It's pretty funny. Just the timing of it, it's great, because then he just like puts his arms down and walks off. Good camera work on that. It's a good start for June Hughes' eye. Unfortunately, that's it for what I find the good, and in this situation, the good does not outweigh the bad in this movie. But this movie walked so The Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink could run. I really don't see myself watching it again anytime soon. If I need my teen house party comedy fix, I'll go to the spiritual successor, Can't Hardly Wait, from 1998. But if you're a Hughes completist, there's enough in this movie to keep you entertained. So just because I won't have a desire to watch it again doesn't mean you shouldn't have a desire to watch it again. I still own the movie. I think I own a hard copy and a digital copy of the movie. So I've paid for it. I've paid for the off-color jokes and the problematic acting. So that's 16 Candles. Thank you so much for coming with me on the second year of my journey through June Hughes' filmography. And if you like this video and you're excited to see what's next, make sure you like it. You hit the like button. And also subscribe to the channel so you know when the next one's coming out. Whether you like it or if you just want to hate watch it, that's fine too. I don't have any haters. Someone subscribe and hate watch. Do it. I dare you. But subscribing and liking also lets the algorithm know that we exist, so there's that as well. Also, if you enjoy hearing fun conversations about movies, make sure you check out the Cinemadness podcast, where me and my friends, that's all we do, is we talk about what we like about podcasting. No, we don't talk about podcasting. We talk about movies. We're not Podcastomadness. Podomadness. That just sounds like hippopotamus, but no. Cinemadness, the podcast. We love to talk movies. Me and Roman and Allison, the three of us, we love talking movies. We love talking movies in depth. We will go 3 episodes and talk about one movie. Or 2 episodes. I don't think we've gone 3 episodes for one movie. Maybe we have. I think we did. I think Willy Wonka was 3. I don't remember. If you want to find out, you can do so by going to anywhere podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're now even on Amazon and Audible. So even with Amazon Prime, you can find us. And I know they're the big evil overlords, but they host us, so good on them. Anyway, we try to bring new episodes each week. We try our damnedest to bring new episodes each week. It's not guaranteed, but we'll try to do as much as we can. Also, our YouTube channel, like this video, we have other things as well. So stay on the ball. Follow us. Go to cinemadnesspodcast.com. You can find where our social media stuff is located. It's easy these days. In fact, just Cinemadness Podcast. You'll type it into the old Google machine, and you'll find us eventually. So I hope to see you on our next stop on the June Hughes journey. And don't forget, always celebrate cinema. See you next time.